Thank you, Brian. And I also would like to thank all of you for taking time from your schedules to be with us today. And again, this is an exciting day and getting to be a little too common for me, getting up here in front of you introducing new coaches, but really excited about another new addition to our staff. Let me share, before I introduce Jonathan, let me just share a few things with you. Things that we were looking for in hiring a head women's basketball coach. I wanted someone that had head coaching experience, someone that I knew would be in the community, being interactive in the community, selling the program within the community and within the state. Wanted someone that had success at higher levels. And as Terry Golick and I reached out to all of our contacts in putting our short list together, one name kept popping up, Jonathan Tsipis. And as I followed through and looked at his background, spending the time at Notre Dame under Muffet McGraw, and I was at Notre Dame when Muffet first got there and built the program and sustained it. Jonathan was there for 8 years, had a lot to do with the recruitment. He was assistant head coach, so he coached at a very high level, had a lot of success at that level as an assistant coach. But the thing that impressed me, went on and took a program at George Washington that was down. In a very short amount of time, he built it into a winner, winning 2 conference championships and taking it to consecutive NCAA tournaments. Those are things that are important to me, and someone that lives and dies basketball, and someone that impressed us when we met him and spent time with him. So he's already gotten started. He's been here 2 days, and he's been out and seeing some of the top players in the state already. But at this time, let me introduce, I'm very proud to introduce our next women's head basketball coach at the University of Wisconsin, Jonathan Tsipis.
Great day to be a Badger, and I thank Coach. I'm hoping we'll have a very similar journey as a young coach. Came in 1990 to build a program, and I think the phrase "sleeping giant" was used, and it is my honor to be here and to be able to lead the women's basketball program. You know, I want to thank Chancellor Blank, Coach Alvarez, Terry Golick, Bruce Vandevelde, for all their support and their faith as we've gone through this process. And I think a big part of this is being able to take what has already happened here at Wisconsin in the athletic department and take the women's basketball program to great heights. And as I was able to meet with the team last night, I think the common word was excitement, and I'm excited the ones who aren't in class right now are here to see us today. But as Coach mentioned, a big part of this is where can we take the women's basketball program. And I don't have to go very far down the hall to see where women's ice hockey has gone, where Coach Sheff has taken the women's volleyball team. It's there. And I can tell you that a big part of what we are going to do here is reflective of the people of Wisconsin. Our team is going to be a team with an unmatched work ethic. I've got a blue dress shirt on today because of that blue-collar mentality. We're going to be an unselfish group, and most importantly, we're going to be a group that mirrors the community and the people of the state of Wisconsin. From a recruiting standpoint, there's no question. I want the best players in the state of Wisconsin to come here to Madison to have that experience. I've had the opportunity in less than 24 hours to already do 2 home visits and be able to share that vision that I have with some of the best in-state talent. Coach always talks about building a wall around the state of Wisconsin. The only issue I have with that, Coach, is sometimes people can climb over top of the wall. So we're going to build a dome so that they can't get out. and they've got to be able to stay here and see what we're able to do. I think a big part of recruiting is building relationships, and a challenge I have to the high school coaches and the AAU coaches in the state of Wisconsin is everything's open for you here. Any workout, any practice, any games, I want you to feel comfortable coming here, because I'm going to be doing the same anywhere it takes me in the state of Wisconsin to build that relationship so you can see the experience and the success we're going to have here at Wisconsin. And my background, as Coach mentioned, I've had an unbelievable opportunity to work with highly motivated, high academic goal-setting student athletes at both Notre Dame and at George Washington over the past 13 years. And I think a big part of that understanding is I want to be somebody who can allow young women to grow over their 4 years and have that impact in their lives so that they step out after telling me for 4 years what they want to do. And these are the similar things I shared with the team last night, to the point that as we kind of all stood up last night, I kind of want to walk with the team right here in the practice court and get started. We'll have plenty of time for that. But a big part of what we're going to do here at Wisconsin is continue to get better every single day. And no championship has ever been earned more by just the hard work that you put in every day. As I told the team, there's two things that happen at the end of the day. You've gotten better or you've gone in the other direction. And I think having that mindset, it was similar at Notre Dame. It absolutely is what we live by at George Washington. And I think a big part of that is understanding sometimes you take a step backwards. But I think sometimes when you take that step, life is about how you deal with adversity. And again, I think a big part last night meeting with the team is all of a sudden I became tangible. Okay, there was somebody now as that was going to take over the program. And I will tell you, when you come to our games, I haven't sat down in 4 years as a head coach. So it doesn't matter, home, road, no matter what they tell me to do, I'm not going to sit down, because I'm not going to take any second in the 40 minutes that we're allowed to play to stop trying to teach our young women, not just the game of basketball, but hopefully those experiences that are going to carry on in their academic setting and whatever they do in life. There's a couple of people that I really want to be able to thank. Wisconsin women's basketball is going to be a family, and that family will mirror exactly my wife Lee and my daughter Emily, who's 11, and my son Josh, who's 9, and the members of the team that are here. I told them last night, whether they liked it or not, they had just adopted a 9-year-old brother and an 11-year-old sister, and as important to me is my 2 children now have 15 role models, and they're going to be around in practice, at the games, in meetings. I'm going to conduct myself the same way I do as a parent, on the floor, in practice, in our meetings, and I want them to be able to see that part of the family atmosphere, because I'm from Ohio. I'm back in the Midwest. In a lot of ways, I'm back home. I'm not back as much back home as Coach Granado came yesterday, but I think that part, I'm back home where we're going to build this in a family environment with that understanding that everybody's a part of that. So I'm so thankful some of our current players' families are here today for me to have a chance to meet them the same way I met their daughters last night, and even incoming parents of our 2016 incoming class. And I think a big part of family is what Wisconsin's all about. This is what I felt the first time I talked with Coach Alvarez. It's what I felt last week when I was here with my family, walking through campus, meeting people. This is a place that I'm excited to lead the women's basketball program, but I'm excited to watch my kids grow here as well. I can tell you one thing, that at the end of the day, nobody's going to work harder than I am. And I'm going to put a staff together that Wisconsin is going to be proud of, because it's going to represent everything our team needs. And at the end of the day, I think Coach Alvarez, to steal another thing that he did, I think the comment was, you better get your tickets now. And because we're going to make sure the Kohl Center is the best environment in the Big Ten. And I think that part of, understand it's a process, and we're not expecting to do that overnight. But I said this 4 years ago. I am not patient when it comes to winning. I am committed to excellence, and I'm going to do everything in my power and have the young women that are going to help be part of this Wisconsin women's basketball family do that because it's so important that we represent the state of Wisconsin in everything we do. With that being said, I believe the phrase is on Wisconsin. Thank you very much.
We can go ahead and take questions from the media in attendance. We have microphones on each side. Jeff?
Jonathan, you alluded to Barry's statement when he took over here about building a wall. He called it a sleeping giant. I'm just curious what you see in the program, which has not enjoyed a lot of success, that led you to take on this challenge.
I think a big part of, in looking at this program, I've looked and actually had a chance to coach against. There's great women's basketball players coming out of this state. Will we have a team of 15 players from Wisconsin? I don't believe so. Because I want to make sure we have a team of 15 young women that are the right fit, and play with a chip on their shoulder, and understand that committed part to excellence. I think understanding the state of women's basketball and how you can build a program like that is much more about what your forward thinking is than it is necessarily in the past. I've been fortunate enough to be in 2 programs that had great tradition, and I think a bigger part of that is understanding how that was built. Coach Alvarez in the same way. There wasn't great tradition here. And I think that part you build with the right people. And no matter what team you're coaching, it's all about having the right people. And I just feel like the support, the enthusiasm, obviously you're sitting in one of the finest practice facilities in the country, the Cole Center. Put that together with the experience. I'm ready to start a new chapter, which will be a great tradition.
What did the 4 years as a head coach teach you that you didn't know before you sat in that, or didn't sit in that chair, but stood next to that chair?
Everybody said it's hot. Maybe that's why I didn't sit in that chair in 4 years. You know what it's taught me is the understanding how to look through, I think, to see how to mold a team. I think when I was at Notre Dame, Muffet was so good at delegating to her assistants and preparing them to make decisions like a head coach. I think a big part of that was she was always going to be the expert on Notre Dame. And one of my jobs right away was to be the expert on Connecticut, on Tennessee, on Maryland, on Purdue. And I think that part of that was an adjustment for me, was to make sure I was the expert on George Washington. I think making sure that you have people around you who will challenge you. I think a lot of coaches make a mistake of hiring people that are really close to them. I want to hire people that are going to challenge me. Like I told our team last night, that's a big part. If I'm going to ask them to grow and get out of their comfort zone, I've got to be willing to do the same thing myself. And I've had a great mentor and continue to have a great mentor in Muffet that did that because she wanted people to tell her, hey, this is another way to do things. I think as a head coach, you now have to make that decision of what direction. All decisions end up coming back to you. And I think that part of whether you had influence or not, I think you break them down into 3 categories: on decisions that you trust your staff to make, decisions that have to have great dialogue, and then the decisions that you know you're going to make yourself. And I think as a head coach, each opportunity to me is an opportunity to grow and improve that way when you get to make those decisions.
Coach Alvarez, how much did the topic of gender come up in the hiring process? Because obviously Coach Tsipis is the first male coach in the history of the program.
It's a silent T. That's Greek, if you didn't know. It didn't come up at all. I wanted to hire the best coach we could hire. And I think we did that.
Coach Tsipis, can you just talk about your style of play and how you see Wisconsin basketball on the court next season?
Sure. I'm a big believer of playing fast. A couple of things that we look at and talk to, again, a lot of things I share. Your question I shared with our team last night, similar question with the team. Fast in a way that is not uncontrolled. But I want to be in a position where we can get 85 to 90 possessions a game. I want to be able to play where we can really spread the floor and put people in positions where they can be successful. The last 2 years at George Washington, we led the nation in rebounding margin last year, and currently with a couple games left, that they sit fourth. But I think that's a part of it as well, is being able to dominate the glass. And rebounding to me is a very controllable action. And an understanding is you have great faith in when you take a shot as a women's basketball player at Wisconsin, and that will continue to be a confidence I will build in our team. As one of those teammates, they better anticipate it's not going in. And that's part of the emphasis we'll have on rebounding, is where they can get to that spot. The same way to play fast offensively is defensively. I'd like to be aggressive. I have a man-to-man background. I think no matter what our base will be, it will start with man-to-man and understanding how to be a great individual defender, but how to rely on your teammates and trust. I think even if we have to change defenses, which we will, because I think women's basketball is growing in that aspect of the players are becoming better and better. But I think that part of things, and again, I can tell you this was my philosophy my first year at George Washington, and I will adjust that based on how our team can be the most successful. But I'd like to play fast. I want to spread the floor. I want to attack using ball screens. But the most important thing, and I think the most successful coaches that you see in both men's and women's basketball, is they adjust to their personnel. And I think that part will be, no matter how we play, we will be unselfish. And I'm proud to say in the last 2 years at George Washington, we're in top 30 in the country in assists. And it is something that we value highly. And assists aren't just on the offensive end. You can get assists on the defensive end, taking charges, getting deflections, sliding over and stopping dribble penetration. I think a lot of the same things that Coach Gard and his staff emphasize. I'm so thankful that I get a chance to work next to somebody that I think is an unbelievable basketball mind, as well as a great family man. And I think I'm excited to learn from him and watching his Badgers teams play as we go through this together.
Jonathan, do you see some steps toward putting more people back in the seats here? Do you envision what that process is going to look like, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Coach Alvarez hit it on the head as far as somebody being in the community. And I think I'm a big believer that you have to be tangible. And as the head coach, I have to be the most tangible member of the program. And that's going in the community. That's going on campus and understanding. If I'm going to ask people in the community as well as on campus to spend their valuable time at a Wisconsin women's basketball game, I'm going to spend time to go where they're at and be able to go to meetings and not necessarily be the first person on the agenda, but be able to understand that I'm going to have that vested interest in what they do. I think it's the same thing with the players, to be able to take players into the community, to be able to meet especially younger fans that they'll have a chance to look up to. I think that's so important that as a father, to be able to sit in the stands and have a daughter who's going to say, I want to be like a women's basketball player at Wisconsin. I think that part of things, when they've met our players and have that interaction, and a high five goes a long way, or an autograph to be able to then watch them. I just think that part of, they're going to serve as role models. And I think that part of things, we are going to cast a wide web and be able to do that and understand, win or lose, that we can't be less accessible, especially on the losing side, that we're going to thank our fans after every game and understand they're going to come along with on this journey. And I think that process of things, because they'll be right there. It won't be, I'm just the head coach and you only see me coaching the game. They're going to know me from hopefully not having to snow blow a lot of snow, but be able to be out there as much as I would be at the grocery store, as much as I'm going to be in the community, no matter where it is, that part of wanting them to be a part of women's basketball here at Wisconsin.
Mentioned wanting a staff that will challenge you. Do you have a timetable on putting that staff together, and beyond that, what you're looking for in those people?
Sure. I think there are two parts to that. One, when you're creating a staff, I think great leaders understand their strengths and weaknesses. And as you can see, I'm pretty introverted. I don't like to talk and things like that. Is understanding the needs of the players. And I think you have to have different personalities. I think you have to have a diverse staff. The two things I know I'll never be as a women's basketball coach is, one, a former women's basketball player. And so it's really important in the staff that I have not necessarily just one, but multiple people that fill that role and understand how to show our student athletes the exact shoes that they are going to go through. I think a second part of that is understanding personality types to have that mixture, because you're going to have a team of different personalities. I think as far as that goes, I have some certain people in mind that I know come from great basketball backgrounds, and is putting to make sure those pieces all fit together. A big timetable for me will be to make sure that we have that staff together for as we go out in the recruiting process in mid-April. But I'm not going to rush to fill a staff just to get it filled. I think part of me understanding the team is really important in that. But I think a part of putting this staff all together is how can that fill the needs of this program. Recruiting is our bloodline. There is no question. And I think that part of, I want people who want that challenge to recruit people here to Wisconsin who want to play with a chip on their shoulder, but also they've got to be able to help me teach them what the game of basketball is all about, help them understand what it is to be a great student athlete. And I think as important, the most important part that encompasses everything is how they're going to make our student athletes grow. The second thing that I know I will never be is a mother. And I was fortunate that we had that part, and every staff I've been on is that part. Obviously at Notre Dame, at George Washington, is to have that maternal instinct. Because again, that's another part of being a family, is understanding that's something that I can be the dad. I'm not going to try to be the mom. I want to have somebody on our staff who can help our players with that.
There were 6 kids who were signed last fall coming in. Have you been able to contact them and get a read on how that stands?
Yeah, I think, I think the current staff, the assistants are here, have done a good job, along with Terry Golick, of making sure they've been updated in the process of what's going on. I think in today's day and age with social media, not one of them was surprised when I got a hold of them last night that I was the head coach, and there are some connections with them. That at George Washington, I actually had recruited one of them. So I think there's a great excitement with all of them. I think an understanding to be able to sit down with them and their families in person and talk about what my vision is, and as important, why they picked Wisconsin. And we've got to make sure that those match together, because this is a journey that we're going to go on, and I want to make sure that those are the right fit. And obviously you're talking about a big class, but I think part of that is if there is somebody that does not want to live up to those expectations I'm going to have for them, not just on the basketball floor, but in the classroom, as well as their responsibility as a student here at Wisconsin, then that's a discussion we'll have to continue. But I think that's the next step of the process. They've been informed that I'm the head coach. I thought that was important. That came from me over the phone. One of the young women was actually out of the country, and I was able to get a hold of her. So I think the next step, and I'm excited because I believe one of their fathers is in attendance today, so I'm excited to meet him. But as you look at that part of things, I want to make sure that they understand those expectations. And I think those meetings of things, I was excited to talk to them. They were excited. I think that part of knowing now there is the head of the program was really that part of the conversation, and I'm looking forward to get to know them better.
Coach, what will it take you coached at Notre Dame, what will it take for Wisconsin to get to that level?
You know, I think a big part about Notre Dame is the consistency. And I think a big part, and, you know, I'm fortunate enough, you know, sitting here among us today is not only my niece, but a former Notre Dame women's basketball player that, like a lot of things in my family, they like to surprise me and show up unannounced. But I'm excited the team will get to meet my niece, Amanda Byrne, that played for me at Notre Dame. But the consistency part, I think really Muffet's understood how to change with the student athlete. And I think the same student athlete she coached when she first got there, that part of thing has changed. And I think for us to be at that level, that core group that Notre Dame has been able to recruit has been a Midwest-based group. And I think there's no question, me speaking to keep the best talent in Wisconsin home, there's a big part of that's part of my fabric. And it happened at Notre Dame. It happened the last 4 years at George Washington. If you look and see the all-conference and all-American level players we've had to have, we're from right there in the district in Virginia and Maryland. Notre Dame has done a great job of understanding of thinking locally and acting nationally. And I think that part, how we're going to build that, is the understanding of that opportunity. And then I think that part of the consistency is it raises your expectation level. Where do we want to be at? And I think our group right now is that understanding. We're going to do a lot of things like I learned from 9 years at Notre Dame. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I've just got to make sure that we're doing it the Wisconsin way. And I think that part, as you start building it in the same way we're able to build it at George Washington, each class that comes in will know that expectation. And an expectation of, yeah, we expect to play in the postseason. And as I look and I see the postseason banners from the men's team, that should inspire our kids to be in this gym every single day, because that's the goal. And at George Washington, it was we got into the WNIT and we were able to advance and get to the round of 16. That set the goal up for being able to make sure that we would return to the NCAA tournament.
And for Coach Alvarez, you've just had 3 major hires in the last 3 weeks or so. How happy are you to be done with all of that?
Been pretty busy lately, but it's a relief. But it's still, you know, it's exciting to add the quality of people that we have, that we just hired, add them to our program. It's very exciting, and I'm just pleased that we can get these people in place, and in a relatively timely manner.
Any other questions? One in the back.
Can I go back to the question that was asked of Barry at the beginning and ask it of you, Coach? You're the first male head coach after, I think, 6 or 7 women head coaches. So what are your thoughts about that?
I think, as Coach said, I think a big part of Wisconsin women's basketball is going to put great role models in front of their team. And I'm honored to be the first of something. I think the more important thing is understanding the leadership and the guidance and the mentorship as a staff we're going to be able to have with the young women. I think you could talk to our current team right now, and you know, I think part of going through life is adjusting. I think they've had male head coaches. I think it's part of a diversity of a staff. And I can tell you that's something that Muffet firmly believed in at Notre Dame. She always had a male assistant, and it wasn't an issue of gender. It was an issue of making sure the players' needs were met the right way and how to motivate. And I think a lot of times when you look at that part, a lot of times when a message is given, sometimes if it's given through a different voice, a different person, a different experience level, it gets through in a different way. And the way I look at it, I know I'm going to have strong female leadership on my coaching staff, and that will be something that our team and the recruits that we're involved with will never have to worry about, because much like a strong background of leadership, when you have good leaders, I think that's the most important thing you look at. not where they came from, not their gender, not their background, but are they strong leaders and they're going to help be able to support the people that they're trying to lead. I just want to say that this is an unbelievable honor for me, and I have family here today and coaches that I've had a chance to work with. This is something that today is a day I'm never going to forget. And to my team, it's fun to call you my team. It's something that you will never have to worry about how hard the head coach of this program works, because I'll never ask you to work any harder than I'm working, and it's going to be an unbelievable ride. And like Coach Alvarez says, we're family, we like to have fun, and Wisconsin athletics is about chasing championships. Thank you.